Okay, I'm Luca Venturini. I am a PhD candidate in entrepreneurship and innovation at the University of Napoli Partenopea. I took my master's degree graduation in the same university, and the topic was marketing and international management. So I am a marketing researcher, and I try to mesh marketing topics with new technologies topics, focusing nowadays to immersive technologies and metaverse. In my academic background, there is also an experience in base business schools and City St. George University of London, in which I started to study the experimental design, because I act as a qualitative researcher in the last years. Because mostly the need of an exploration about the topic that I was trying to find some answer. And what else? My principal interesting is for sure technologies and innovation, but also traveling, music, football, and cinema, just to give you my kind of person. Today we will talk about the research project that we are running till I started the PhD program. So nowadays, three years ago, and I'll try to explain all the reasoning behind every choice that we made, and I will present you two of the three papers that are nowadays completed. The next one will be presented in the next session, so we will have the time to more or less explain everything and have a quick chat about it if you want. Just to introduce the topic, when we started, it was very hard to find a definition of the metaverse because it was a very new concept. Also, if it was first defined in 1992 by Stephenson in his novel, in which the author indicates the metaverse as a world parallel on the real one. So an immersive space within which individuals can move, share, and interact with others and with just virtual artifacts as an avatar. But in the time, because the lack of a proper definition, we tried to find a definition to follow to try to analyze the topic. And so we decided to use some suggestion provided by Vivedi et al. And Barrera and Shaw that augment the topic to the use of all the immersive technologies. So not only a virtual environment, but as they say, just quoting, the metaverse has the potential to extend the physical world using augmented and virtual reality technologies, allowing users to seamlessly interact with real and simulated environment using avatars. So they boost the definition that Stevenson gave. Just to give you, I tried, but it doesn't show on the screen. There is a kind of an overview on all the technologies that could be related to the concept of the metaverse that Barrera and Shaw gave us. And so because of that reason, 3 years ago, because it was the more complex definition and the more open definition, we decided to use this kind of definition to start to research about the topic. Some days ago, we can see 5 October 2025. This is taken by a very well-known newspaper and legit newspaper in Italy. There was the presentation of the new Ray-Ban created by Meta with Luxottica, and they build inside AI and augmented reality. And Mark Zuckerberg said on the stage, describing the new product, that is not only beautiful glasses equipped with personal superintelligence and capable of offering a feeling of presence through realistic holograms, but he said the union of these ideas, he remarked, is what we call the metaverse. So the fact that we choose that definition that mixed all the technology together into a concept, a bigger context, that it was not only the virtual environment. Nowadays it can be, a winning choice. Why it was and it is relevant to study? Because its application is expected to proliferate with a project market size of $2,961 billion and an expected user base by 2030 of more than 700 million users. And nowadays there are millions of them, and the 80% of them are children. So we can envision that as grew up with some digital technology, new consumers will grow up with new way to interact and experience digital technology. So we can expect that it will increase the investment on that kind of experiences and that kind of technology, also because the consumer base will increase also because of that. This is the opinion of extended reality all around the world provided by Ipsos. And this is always by Ipsos how people expect the metaverse will impact on the daily life of people. So we can find that we can start with virtual learning, in which the 66% of people expect to have a significant impact, arriving to the 48% of them that think that the virtual traveling and tourism can be impacted by these technologies. From the research point of view, we found that this is a graph of the general research of the metaverse, not only applied to marketing field, but we can recognize that he improved a lot in the 2021. That is the moment in which Mark Zuckerberg declare officially their creation, so the Meta World Horizon and the Metaverse, and a new era for that. And we also realized that the interesting in understanding the marketing opportunities related to it has rapidly increased among scholars. So in the last years also the marketing interest increased, not only the general interest. So what we did and what we are doing, we started to use a progressive focusing approach. That means that we didn't decide to do everything in the same moment, but based on the results and the insight that we gather from a paper research, we use that insight to build the hypothesis or to build the research question of the sequent one. So we started with a bibliometric systematic literature review that maps the context and the phenomenon and that moment, let's say, when we start. Then, because we will see the results, there were a lack of empirical knowledge, we started with the more explorative approach, so the ethnography. Then, from the ethnography, in which we had inside, we started to build some other research that are more related to customer experience, the one that I will explain the next seminar, and other two related to more or less retail and behavioral stuff. All of them are qualitative. And as I said, today I'll present the bibliometric and the immersive ethnography. In the next seminar, I will present the customer experience one that is also related to tourism sector, because we decided to do that in the leisure, analyzing the leisure experience. So as I said, we started from the more explorative approach, the more interpretivist approach, that was the ethnography in the digital environment, so an ethnography. And then we started to move to a more positivism reasoning, to try to build proper hypotheses to be quantified using experiment and surveys. So nowadays we are in this part of our project, but we are aiming to go in a way that can be more quantitatively analyzed. I use the research onion by Saunders because I think it can give you an idea of what was our reasoning and everything that we've done. So we started with an interpretivism. We use abduction. Because we realized that we can gain information using an induction reasoning. So the approach was inductive, subtly, but we analyzed the data mostly abductively. So it's more or less everything connected to a previous theory. And so the mix of deductive and inductive reasoning is called abduction, as you know. We use a multi-method qualitative, as I said, so in the ethnography and then grounded theory, ethnography and then grounded theory, and for sure cross-sectional, because we didn't compare different moments, we just analyzed that moment. So let's start with our mapping. This paper was presented to the digital transformation of firms, network and society conference in 2024, so it's pretty new. And it was a way that we try to, as I said, map the context of our research. It was co-authored with my supervisor, that is Professor Sorrentino. And it is, let's say, the starting point, as you will see the amount of paper is not too much, because in that period there were not too much. So we decided not to publish that, because we would like to complete that with more papers and more data. But this was the starting point. So what we did, we conduct a bibliometric literature review to map systematically the research trend and themes. We tried to answer these three research questions. There was mostly the part of bibliometrics, so countries, journal, and authors that had the biggest impact on the research about metaverse-related marketing. Then the primary thematic areas that maybe it is the most interesting part. And then what implication can have the literature of that to marketers, firms, and academics. To do this, we use the approach, the Prisma protocol, that is one of the most used for systematic literature review. So we started from 237 papers that we took on Web of Science. The choice to use Web of Science and not Scopus, it was because we used a software that is called BiblioShiny, that is let's say, the more intuitive and well-organized interface that base all its algorithms on bibliometrics. That is a very well-known software. And in that period, we had the chance to have lessons with Adrian Cucurullo, that are the creator of the software. And they suggest us to use just one of because commonly some feedback that I received from that, it was, why didn't you use also Scopus? Because Web of Science gave you the chance to use the keyword plus, so the keywords that the journal gave to the paper. In this case, there were no mess between let's say, the trendy keywords that an author can use to be, to be more read, and only the keywords analyzed were the one provided by the journal. So because we didn't want to mesh these two things, we just used Web of Science. And we used a very simple query that was marketing a metaverse, because the lack of knowledge. If we use a more complex strings, the paper would be very few. So we started with 257, then we delete a lot of them because the language, because the topic was totally related to what we were analyzing, and we arrived at the end at 48 papers. One of the most important things that we started to analyze the paper only from the 2021, because we wanted to understand what was the knowledge created after the announcement of the metaverse. Because before of that, there were some papers, but were mostly related to some niche of consumers. So for example, Second Life, or some kind of video games that in that period that had not the technology that nowadays we are using. So in that moment, we wanted just to analyze that. But we are planning to compare the two periods, the two age of a metaverse, let's say, and to have a database that could be more relevant for the number of papers. So we are waiting for more publications. So this is, I think, it can be interesting or not, so I'll just let you see what we have done. But this is the most important things of the research. So we map the themes that emerged, because the software gave you the chance to map the centrality and the impact of that, and how the topic, the paper are related to the topic. And we realized that there was a cluster of the impact of augmented reality on the experience that confirms our idea that the metaverse was not only virtual realities and virtual environment, but also the integration of the two realities. Then the use of gamification and technology in tourism that gave us the chance to start to analyze the tourism. And then the fact that in the future, there could be a retail of digital fashion, that it was the future for them, but analyzing nowadays with some of the research that we did is not the future, but it's the present. Because if you think about video games, there are a lot of selling of sales of products, digital fashions, and also in the metaverse there are a lot of them. So they say that was the future, but for us it's just the present. So just give you the implication that I already said, the study confirmed that the metaverse has a bridge between the two realities, the virtual and the real, with the use of AR. Then they gave us some potential sector to analyze, so the retail, the fashion, and the tourism sector, but it also suggests that the metaverse could benefit numerous other sectors. And lastly, and more importantly, there was a massive prevalence of conceptual paper that gave us the biggest gap, so the need of empirical analysis. So because of that, as I said, we started with the more explorative analysis, the immersive ethnography. This paper is nowadays submitted on Journal of Service Theory and Practice, and is co-authored with my supervisor, the Professor Sorrentino, my other supervisor, is coordinator of the PhD program in my university, and the Professor Charles Hofacker from Florida University State. We, as I said, we use that to explore the phenomenon. Just a quick theoretical background, just a point. We spoke about immersive technologies, and we conceptually explained the metaverse in the paper, so just to don't give you the same information that I already gave to you. So we explain about the technologies, we explain about blockchain, because it's something that is totally related to the creation of an environment, and we focus on the servicescape framework, because we wanted to analyze the metaverse as a servicescape environment, so a place in which companies can do create experience or promote something. So the research fit into the debate of the application of the metaverse as a marketing tool, and try to analyze, answering the question, how does metaverse reshape marketing opportunities, to analyze which marketing opportunities can be related to the use of a metaverse conceptualized as a servicescape. What we did an immersive ethnography approach by aiming to advocate for in-depth observation by research as an avatar. I think that not everybody of you could be or not aware of what does it mean. So just to give you an easy example, the ethnography is the study of communities. It was created several decades ago to analyze African tribus, or the community of a place. And because in the age the community start to move their behavior on the digital platforms, the Kozinet, this author, invented the approach of the nethnography, so the ethnography in the net. But because a lot of immersive technology arises in the market, he decided to move the nethnography and create the immersive ethnography. So an approach that could be built and used in this kind of environment. So for give you the definition, I quote what he said. It was a specific set of data collection, analysis, ethical and representational research practices that apply to a wide range of digital media phenomena, including immersive technologies, experiences such as virtual reality, augmented reality, and the metaverse. It was very used in the last 20 years, the ethnography, but in a paper about metaverse, one of the most cited papers that we found in our bibliometrics, the authors posit that immersive ethnography can be an highly efficient approach to analyze metaverse for marketing research, particularly in the context of investigating phenomenological service experience. So it was perfect for us. How it works? It works with several steps that I will explain to you. This is from the paper of Kozinet. first step is the initiation, in which there is the building of the research question. So you start to questioning yourself, what are you looking for? Then there is the immersion one, that is related to the collected the data, so the collection part of the methodology. And it is related to choices. So which technology do we have to buy? Which platform do we have to analyze? Related to the research question that we decided to analyze. And in this phase, in this step, there is also the acquisition of the archival data, so secondary data, to understand which platform and which technologies and why are we doing that. Then there is the investigation step, that is, took the technology, after that you bought the technology and chose the platform, you immerse yourself in the platform and started to interact with them, so you investigate. For our reason, there is commonly this approach is used to interact with people, but we use that, as Cosine suggests, to analyze the not human part of the experience. So we analyze the interfaces, how it was built, the investment that the company was made, and so on. So we didn't talk with the consumers in that environment. And I forgot to say that we decided to use some platforms that were known and that had different technology to be experienced. So we had some platforms that are desktop related, and some platforms that are VR related, and that has a lot of investment of companies inside. So we can analyze how they are investing in them. Then there is the interaction part. The interaction part is commonly related to interview consumers. But because we were not analyzing the communities, but we were analyzing the investment, we use an approach called praxeography. That is the ethnography applied to practice. So it's the research-based practice, the research-based ethnography. So following the reasoning, we interview the first company in Italy that built the Metaverse experience for companies. So we have 10 interviews with 10, it was a sort of case study. It is 10 interviews with 10 players, 10 managers of the company, trying to understand what they define, what they found, how they work on the creation of that. And then there is the integration part, in which the two data, so the visual data provided by the immersion and the investigation part and the interview, are triangulated and analyzed following Brown and Clark approach. So we have some teams that explain this data. Incarnation is just communication. So nowadays, just right now, I make the incarnation step. What we found, I'll give you some empirics data later on. We found that the metaverse can be described in two different, with the mix of two different categories, the metatech and the metascape. Without these two teams, the metaverse cannot be described, because if, for example, this is the technology that are used to experience the metaverse by the consumer, but the blockchain inside can change totally the experience and the back end of the platform, because the owning of the data can be decentralized or centralized, the security and so the privacy of the user can be centralized or decentralized, but we will see that. And then from this kind of experience, we have some marketing opportunities, so advertising, product placement, and brand experience. That can be analyzed as KPI, because it can be compared with a digital set, so with a website that has KPIs. So we try to think about, because also the fact that the new consumer will use probably that environment, to compare the internet with this metaverse. I give you some idea of the interviews, or with some empirical data. There are currently two types of technology that support the metaverse. The first in 2D, and therefore accessible via the computer with the browser, and the other in virtual reality, the one that people access with headset. Another interview said there is the metaverse in virtual reality, where people wear a VR headset, you find themselves physically and totally immersed in the place. But you know, because you work with these technologies. From the other side, They are basically video games because I go to a website that's a metaverse website. I sign up, create my avatar, and move it around with. I move it around with a mouse and keyboard. So it's just a sort of a video game that is experienced by everybody with just a laptop. Then there is the difference between, as I say, centralized and decentralized. I think that speaking of the manager could talk more than me. So this means this is decentralized. This means that everyone owns their own data, their own protection, and their own content. So everyone has a digital wallet, which is basically a kind of wallet for the metaverse. If I go into the metaverse and create a virtual object, I own it. Because the blockchain records, blah, blah, blah. And this is the decentralization. Centralization, Meta Horizon, the one created by Mark Zuckerberg. It is not decentralized, it's centralized. It's just like his social network, his social media. It's owned by a company that controls all the data and collect all the data that's behind it. So when you enter Zuckerberg Metaverse, you're wearing the VR, and it's actually not on the blockchain. You are not in possession of your data, you are in his house. So just to give, just this, give a very, create a very different between the metaverse. Not everything the same. It depends of technologies, and also the experience part is more the immersion and fidelity and so on. But for how it built, this is the main difference. Then we went to the ethnography part and the opportunities part. We analyzed Meta World Horizon, big screen, spatial, Roblox, and we also analyzed Fortnite, but we decided to don't use that as a platform because it started as a video game. Then it became a metaverse, but because we wanted to analyze metaverse, we used just metaverse. And we found that one of the most interesting opportunities would be the advertisement, because the collection of the information, so the data from them, it's, let's say it's free and it's easy to manage, because if somebody click on the advertising and go to the site, it's just a click rate of a site. It is, in this case, for example, it's a teleport. So it was the advertising or something that happened into the metaverse, or we have advertising on something that didn't happen in the metaverse. So for example, in this case, we are on Beam Screen, that is a metaverse created by a very famous company of movie production. And then we have somebody that promote using advertising some physical products. But the most important things is this one. The difference is that advertising in physical space, you have limitation, just physical limitation. Think about it, you have to have a billboard somewhere, you have to have the wall. In this case, you don't have to have the wall, you just put, a billboard, a huge, gigantic billboard somewhere, and somebody can pass and watch it. And for sure, the fact of the data. For example, I may let you into my plaza and not ask for your data, but in the middle of the plaza, I put a billboard there, and you click on the button, you are teleported to something where you can buy items, so the advertising will simply there. Okay? Then we have the product placement. In this case, the product placement has two ways. One is the design of the environment. Another one is some interactive product. So people can buy, people can wear for free, or just look at the product, as in the case of Gucci environment. And this is part of something very interesting, because it's a new environment in which companies can promote their product and services. Has some interview said, another thing that changes is probably the fact that the metaverse will be used in ways that are also used online today. That's true. It's just, something that the internet already does, but in a more immersive and virtual way. So we cannot think, this is our opinion, just speculation, that this can be that, as many persons say, because it's just, they are building that, they are investing on that, the consumers are growing for that. Then the last part was the reason why we made the sequent paper that I will present on Monday, the brand experience. So they create virtual worlds with different dynamics and different scopes. For example, MBAs. If you go in the MBA's environment, there is a huge space that simulates an entertainment area with pitch, basketball pitch, which people can play with pitch. Then there is a shop, which people can buy digital clothes of their favorite teams. And then there is a pitch, of a basketball pitch as a, let's say, the one in which you not play but sing, with the simulation of the stage, and a huge screen in which watch the basketball match. So it's something that can totally change the experience also to watch a sport match somewhere. Same for UFC. Then in other experiences we can find gamification mostly. So for example, Gucci Ancora promote the shows, the Gucci Ancora shows, using a virtual environment, and in that situation the consumer kind of sort of treasure catch, finding stuff related to Gucci, and has some kind of a... So the experience that they can build, it could be totally different rather than their goals. So this paper gave us the underscore how difficult it was to create a clear definition of that, because the merging of technology and experience provided is not so simple to define, in a general terms, I say. Then show that the metaverse can be taught as a series of virtual and experiential platforms, not just a general overview of that, which depending on the use of the structural technologies and experiential use. And then for the opportunities, we found that the metaverse could be used to promote and sell physical and not physical products, and offering a consumer, to consumer the opportunity to experience interactive online environment. So not the static, passive website, but something more interactive. From the theoretical point of view, we found that we contribute to the academical discourse of the nexus between physical and digital reality, and contribution, and create a contribution for marketing scholars who want to investigate the mechanism of promotional strategy using these technologies. But we support the theory proposed by Floridis. This is the most important things, of the possibility of leveraging metaverse platform as a tool of designing the website. So the comparing between the internet and the metaverse is stronger after this research. Managerial, I think that the most important of them, there are, saying the same, is the fact that it can be a super helpful tool to create omni-channel strategies, because a company can have the physical strategy, the social media strategy, the website strategy, and then we can have the metaverse strategy. The investment will be a lot, but for new consumer can be very helpful. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Luca. It was really, really interesting, both of the papers, the methodological part, the literature review, and also the application in the marketing area. It was really, really, really good. So, do you have any questions?
I have a question about the methodology.
Okay.
Because I didn't know anything about that.
Okay.
I saw, if I understood well, that one of the parts in the methodology is to go into the to the platform and to have an immersive experience.
Yeah.
Did you have some kind of I don't know, a way to do it, some criteria, some methodological steps when you are going into the platform?
So you are talking about this part?
This part, yes.
Okay, you have to figure it out that it's like a participant observation. Yes. So think about a participant observation in real life. That is the same, but in a virtual world. So you stay in a place, try to figure it out what are you looking for, and then you take notes of that. So you create a journal that is your notes of everything that you have seen, and then in this case you took screenshot or video cast of what you have seen. So you analyze the visual part and your notes, then triangulate with the interviews with the consumer generally. So there is not a proper rule, because it's just a participant observation, but the commonly rule is stay there, decide if you want to be active or not, so if you want to interact with them or not, if you say to people that you are a researcher or not, like in ethnography. So you say that, in this case, you can know if the community knows that you are a researcher, and you can create some bias, or decide to act like them and don't create bias. But both of the situation have problems, have pros and cons. Because if I am part of the research team, you can give me something that if I am the cleaner, I cannot have. But otherwise, if I say that I'm a researcher, you can hide something that just looking as a cleaner. I'm just making it as much simple as I can. But as I said, the most important rule is just to take notes and to take a decision on what you and why and what are you looking for. For example, participate to an event. In that case, it can be great because you can understand how they interact, or find a good platform or another. It's super relevant because if you go to some unknown platform, for example, in this case, there were no investment by companies, so no data for your research question. But if you think about it, just think about participant observation. It's the easiest way to explain that.
So related to the one question, so as you said, there are unlimited opportunities to improve or apply the marketing strategies.
Yeah.
For example, improve the number of sales, average ticket, etc. But my question is, how we can get a more effective communication right now if Meta and other companies are not investing anymore in eye tracking inside the Meta glasses or the headset, and how we can get information as a researcher right now to develop this kind of papers or this kind of research more related to the impact that an advert had in a specific consumer, or what do you think about it?
Okay, this is part of the debate that I will have to have with you in the next days. But I think that the fact that you can experience this experience also using desktop can be helpful, because using the bar you can just take some information. I don't know if it is possible to analyze that. That's why I wanted to debate with you with that. But I think that could be the starting point right now. From the other side, I think that, as also we spoke a bit, they will increase again the investment, because a lot of people are starting to buy VR right now. If you just enjoy the metaverse, you can find every day more persons. And also the fact that they are integrating AR in the concept, so they are trying to consumer sell AR massively, also with the help of Luxottica, can increase the investment on the product, and maybe we can have some investment of the part of the analysis. But just in general terms, without using the tools, I would say that having an experimental approach can be helpful. So try to give them the chance to try something, to experience something, and then try to measure it. It's my point right now, without the tool. But with the tool, everything is different, because using the tool with VR could be...
Okay, yes, thank you. And regarding to your first paper,
Yep.
This is the last question. Have you seen any paper related with the virtual reality plus neuromarketing technique?
No.
In general, no? There is a gap?
There is a huge gap, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
There is a huge gap, I guess. But as I said, I didn't search for virtual reality. So in the string, there is not virtual reality, because if I use immersive technologies, if I put in the string the immersive technology, I would have a lot of papers, but that could not be related to the concept of metaverse. So I cannot answer properly for that question, because if the question is virtual reality and neuromarketing, I just analyze metaverse. But regarding metaverse and neuromarketing, I will say none.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for...
Next
Yeah.
week with the next seminar. Thank you.